Good morning, students. Now we'll be discussing the fifth unit, the Storeyed House, part 1. And if possible, we'll be discussing part 2 also. And the type of the text is a story. The Storeyed House is a story. And it is written by Vaman Govind Hoval, a Marathi writer. He is well known for his concern for Dalit writing. And he is also known for his rustic style, crisp dialogues, and the tongue-in-cheek humor that often startles the reader. Startles means, surprises. Okay, let us see how the lesson is. The lesson begins like this. There was something really wrong with the state transport bus. It had come up the winding road in the mountain as if with a lifetime effort. The road was now downhill, and yet the bus moved as slowly as a sick man walking with the help of another. It reached the plain where the dispensary building was situated and stood still like an obstinate bull. Now the destination was hardly a mile or two away, but the driver was sore and the conductor had no option but to be silent. When they realized that the bus wouldn't move any faster, a couple of passengers exclaimed, "Go damn it for a bloody nuisance." So, this is the first paragraph in the lesson. You understand that this is a description of the bus uh, going into the village. Uh, so, the bus is moving downhill. Still, it is not moving faster because the bus is not in a good condition, and the driver is sore. S-O-R-E, sore means angry here. He is angry with the condition of the bus, but the conductor has uh, no answer to give a reply, give as a reply to the driver. So he is just silent. Okay. The conductor asked the passengers to get down, and they all put their strength together to push the bus. So what they did, as the bus stopped moving, the conductor and the passengers on the bus had to get down, and they had to push the bus forward, so that it, having gained this initial momentum, the bus started. Passengers clambered up, jostling one another. Then the passengers got into the bus again as the bus started moving. The conductor rang the bell and the bus gradually took on speed. It entered the village reluctantly, like a truant child being dragged to school. So at last, the bus entered the village, as if a truant child being dragged to school. If a child doesn't like to go to school, what the parents will do, we know that they will drag him to school. They will pull him along on the road, and they'll take him to school. So in the same way, the bus is also not in a good condition. So the bus passengers have to push it, and so the bus starts moving, and at last the bus has entered the village. Then yeah, as it wound its way through the curves on the outskirts, it groaned and croaked like a hen about to lay eggs, and stopped with a bang in front of Bujaba Patil's residence. Then the bus came into the village and stopped in front of Bujaba Patil's village house. As it halted, it gave a big lug, sending the passengers helter-skelter, churned like water in a pitcher when the carrier stumbles. So as the bus suddenly stopped, the passengers in the bus moved helter-skelter. Then anyway, it stopped. Then all the passengers got down. The coolie put his hand on a huge wooden box and shouted, "Whose box is this?" Then one coolie came, and he um put his hand on one large wooden box, and he was shouting, "Whose box is this?" Bayaji, who was brushing away the dust from his body, answered, "Oh, it is mine. Please lower it down." So please, lower it down. It is my box, he said. Bayaji. Remember this character's name? Bayaji is very, very important. The protagonist in the story, the most important character in the story. The coolie heaved and grunted as he lowered the box with which Bayaji caught with ease. Coolie heaved and grunted as he lowered the box. So the coolie, uh, with the difficulty, with a lot of difficulty, uh, got the box down. But Bayaji was carrying it with an ease. He was, very strong, and he was doing it very easily, which, the coolie had to, uh, what shall I say, had to labor a lot in order to, get the box down. All right. Bayaji had picked his entire household goods in this box. There was no longer any reason to hang around in Bombay. He had worked honestly for the past 35 years in the dockyard and had retired from service 2 months before. Not that he had held an important position, he had merely got an extension for 2 years. During that period, he had become a supervisor. Otherwise, his entire life had been spent lifting heavy loads. He had worked very hard whenever he could, day and night. So, you will understand from this paragraph that Bayaji, in his workplace, was working as a laborer for for the major part of his career. Only for 2 years or so, he was a supervisor. Otherwise, he got got a promotion as a supervisor, so that he could work as a supervisor. Otherwise, his entire life would have been that of a laborer. Okay. Bayaji had crossed 60 but was in sound health. As we discussed earlier, he was very strong. Yeah, and he had a sturdy frame right from birth, and hard work had given a well formed shape to his strong body. He paid 15 paise to the coolie, put the box in which he had thrown pots and pans and sundry other things on his own head, and began to walk in the direction of his house. Uh, yeah. So as the coolie carried his luggage, he gave him some, 15 paise. Um, then, yeah. So he had to carry it, of course. Yes. Yes. The coolie, had to get the box down and put it down on the floor, whereas Bayaji had to carry the luggage from the railway station to his house. So he was going, keeping the luggage on his head. As he reached Kadam's house, he saw Bujaba coming towards him. Bujaba was a known rascal of the village. Bayaji balanced the burden on his head. Straightening his neck, he said, "Greetings to you, sir. How are things with you?" So, Bujaba uh, Patil was coming against him, and he asked him, Bujaba asked Bayaji, okay, not Bujaba asked, actually, Bayaji said namaste to him. Greetings to you, sir. How are things with you? He just, said, greetings to you, sir. Then Bayaji was a Mahar by caste, and according to age old custom, he should have greeted Bujaba with my humble salutations to you, sir, who are my father and mother. So when Bayaji merely said greetings, Bujaba became furious and said, "Do you think you can become Brahmin merely by saying greetings? Can you forget your position simply because you have turned a Buddhist?" So you understand from this paragraph that Bayaji was a Buddhist, but he was born into a Mahar family who was an untouchable. He belongs to uh, untouchables, uh, as you might have witnessed in your villages. I don't know whether you witnessed it or not, but earlier, some 40 or 50 years ago, this practice was there, that certain uh, people were treated as untouchables. They should not touch the people of other caste, not even the things that belong to the upper caste people. So that was how the things were, but now the situation has changed. There is no untouchability as such, I think, in any village. You have to understand that this story was written some 30 or 40 years ago, uh, when untouchability was being practiced in villages. Okay, so Bayaji came to his village, carrying his luggage over his head, and Bujaba came uh, against him, and he was asked. He was greeted. Bayaji was said, greetings to you, sir. But actually, Bayaji should say, my humble greetings to you, sir. Yeah, this is how Bayaji has to say. How my humble salutations to you, sir, who are my mother and father. You are my mother and father, and my humble salutations to you, sir. This is how Bayaji has to say greetings to Bujaba. But he merely said, Bayaji merely said, greetings to you, sir. How are things with you? This is how he asked. So this made him very angry. This only, salutation, simple salutation, made Bujaba angry with Bayaji. Then he was saying, in with his anger, what can you merely become? Can you become a Brahmin by merely saying greetings to you, sir? Or you have? Can you forget your position, as you have turned a Buddhist? You became a Buddhist now, and you think that you are not an untouchable, and you not an untouchable, and you forget your position. He's asking. Bayaji was nonplussed. He was really, confused. For a moment, he was tempted to knock him down with his box, but realized that he couldn't afford to do so. Besides, how now he had come back to his village for good. He was to spend the rest of his days on this soil and would be interred in the same soil. He would not be able to return to Pune or Bombay hereafter. It was not a good policy to incur the hostility of anyone in the village, least so of the Patil, the village headman. So he too was angry with Bujaba when he said, how can you forget your position? Bujaba was as we discussed, was a known rascal. He was not a good man, and he was angry with Bayaji, and he spoke very harshly to Bayaji. Bayaji also became very angry, and he wanted to knock him down with his box that he was carrying on his head. You know that he was carrying some luggage on his head, right? So he wanted to knock him down with that box, but anyhow he could manage, with uh, his anger, and he controlled his anger, and he did not want to get rivalry with this Patil, because he came to his village for good. What he wanted to live in the village forever till his death, and he wanted to be interred in this soil. Interred means to be what shall I say, buried in that soil. Okay, so he said in a meek tone, "Sir, why spring this on me even before I set foot on the soil of my forefathers? I have to stay here till the end of my life." See, he openly said that he did not want to get any rivalry with the Bujaba, and he was saying, "Why spring this on me? Okay, your anger you are showing to me, so not to be angry with me, and you please be kind with me." He was saying, and I have to stay till here till the end of my life. So I'm not going to my workplace again. I will be living here till forever, till my death. So that is what he was saying. "Why? Aren't you going back to your job?" asked Bujaba. "No, sir, my service is over. I've turned 60. With this, Bayaji lifted the load from his head a little to place it in a position. Yeah, then Bujaba asked, "Why you are not going to your workplace again?" Then Bayaji said, "No, sir, I'm not going because my service is over. I've retired. I've got retired. I have turned 60 now," he said. "Then you have collected your fund amount." Bujaba was taking his measure. "Yes, sir," Bayaji replied with pride. "How much?" Bujaba asked greedily. "Not much." "What can a daily worker earn?" Bayaji answered. "Why won't you mention the figure, man?" Bujaba persisted artfully. So then Bujaba asked him, "Then you have collected some amount, right? As you are retired, you might have got some amount as your retirement benefit." Then Bayaji also replied, "Yes, sir, I got some amount. But how much did you get?" Bujaba asked. "How much can a daily worker get, sir?" He was asking. Okay, a meager amount, he said. "But mention the figure, man," Bujaba asked angrily. "Some 2,500 rupees." Bayaji gave the correct figure. Then he told him that he got 2,500 rupees, 2,500 rupees. "Bayaji, you have a heavy load on your head. Go to your house first. We'll talk at leisure later," Bujaba said in mock sympathy. "Go to your house first. We'll talk at leisure later," he said. You are carrying some load on your head now, so it is getting heavy for you, heavier for you. So go home. We'll uh, talk at leisure later," he said. He was talking to Bayaji in a mock sympathy. Mock sympathy. He was not sympathetic to towards Bayaji. Mock sympathy. It is not real sympathy. Okay. "Yes, yes," Bayaji mumbled and walked in the direction of his house. At the moment, Bayaji was the proud owner of 2,500 rupees in cash, so it made no difference whether he was an untouchable or a Buddhist. If only one could swindle out of the untouchable, Bayaji or rather Buddhist, Bayaji 4 or 500 rupees, that was enough. With the thought in his mind, Bujaba entered his vada, the big house. So Bayaji went away uh, to his towards his house, and Bujaba was uh, thinking some cruel thoughts in his mind. What? That he wanted to swindle him out of his money. Like he was with some 2,500 rupees now, so at least 4 to 500 rupees he had to lose. Bayaji had to lose. Bujaba thought. Exchanging pleasantries with people he met on the way, Bayaji reached the public building called Takya in the untouchable settlement. The building was named Buddha Vihar by those who had embraced Buddhism. As Bayaji neared Buddha Vihar, the children who were playing with a ball made of rags finished their game and cried out, Baiju Nana is here, Baiju Nana is here, and scampered in the direction of Bayaji's house. Bayaji is 85-year-old mother. Bayaji's 85-year-old mother quickly scrambled to her feet. She had aged much, but her old, worn frame was still sturdy, and her teeth were strong enough to break grams. She could thread a needle without help. When she heard Bayaji's arrival, her heart swelled. So, when Bayaji reached his house, all the children, you know, said, Baiju Nana is here, Baiju Nana is here. And Bayaji's mother also, uh, she was also there, and she scrambled to her feet. She got up with some difficulty, and she was very happy that her son came to the house. As Bayaji came in, his wife concealed her joy with the end of her sari and took down the box from his head. So even Bayaji's wife also came there, and she was happy, uh, and she concealed her happiness uh, with the help of her, sari, end of her sari. Okay, that she could conceal her happiness with that, end of her sari. His grandchildren clung to him and began to twist the folds of his dhoti. The neighboring children watched the scene in idle curiosity. So, Bayaji's grandchildren came to him, and they clung to him, they caught him, and they were very happy that they could see their grandfather. Come, get into the house, children, said Bayaji. His mother walked out with a bent back and told Bayaji to wait outside the door. Bayaji obeyed. Bayaji's mother came, and she asked him to stay outside. Why? Because the old woman came forward, poured some water over the piece of bread in her hand, moved it around Bayaji's face, and flung it away as an offering. She ran her palms over his cheeks and pressed her fingers on her temples. All 8 fingers gave out a cracking sound. So she offered, as an offering, she did some, poured some water on a bread piece and moved it around Bayaji's face, and, threw it away as an offering. And she did like this, on the face of Bayaji, and cracked her fingers like this. She did, and so that all gave a cracking sound. All the fingers gave a cracking sound. So Bayaji's family was doing well. He had 8 children in all, 6 sons and 2 daughters. The daughters had been married off and had given birth to children. The elder son looked after the fields. The next 2 sons were in government service. The one after them was a school teacher, and the sixth one was still studying. Since they knew that Bayaji was coming home for good, the elder son in service and the 2 daughters were already home to greet him. All of them wondered what their father had got for them from his lifetime earnings. All of them were excited because they wanted to know what Bayaji got for them. Uh, Here, from this paragraph, you will understand that Bayaji had 8 children in all, 6 sons and 2 daughters. Daughters got married off, and they also came now because they wanted to welcome Bayaji. And his eldest son was a farmer, who would look after his fields, and the sixth one was still studying. Okay, the next day, when Bayaji opened the box, it revealed only some pots and pans, nails, and photographs. Looking at these, the elder daughter asked, Nana, how is it that you haven't brought anything for us? And the elder daughter was asking Bayaji why he did not get anything for her. Bayaji was amused that his daughters thought in this childish manner, even after they had children of their own. He ran his eyes over all his children and said, Look here, children, if I had brought new clothes for you, they would tear. If I had brought an ornament, it would soon wear out. Out of my earnings, I wish you to have something that will last longer. So Bayaji was trying to convince them, as he said, that if I get clothes for you, they will wear out, and if I get ornaments, they will, wear out. Okay, so I got something, that will last longer. What is that? His eldest son was godly. He said, Neither we nor our wives want anything. Tell us what you would like us to do. The eldest son was somewhat, godly. He was a very, very good man, and said, uh, No, father, we don't want anything from you. You tell us what we have to do for you. He said, Look, children, ours is such a large family. Even at mealtime, we have to eat by turns or sit crowded, knocking our knees together. I wish to build a house out of my earnings, and it has to be a storied house. The usual three portioned house won't be adequate for us. All were happy with this plan. The plan was finalized, and the foundation of the storied house was laid on the auspicious New Year day. So he revealed what he wanted to do, what that he wanted to build one storied house, as they had one old uh, house, and it was not enough for these many people. Even for their meal, they had to sit in rounds, a few people at one time, and the others at another time, like that. They had to take meal in turns. Okay, so everybody was very happy that they were going to have a new house for themselves, right? Everybody approved of his plan, and one fine day, the foundation stone was laid, and they started constructing a new house for themselves. So this is the first part of the storied house. So read the lesson thoroughly, and what, do the worksheet on the lesson, and keep reading. Okay, all the best.